The last thing I'm going to talk about as far as the USP Alcatraz timeline are these mechanical cell doors. As we mentioned a couple of times, B block and C block uh, were retrofitted with tool hardened bars to prevent easily sawing through them. And another one of the things that makes Alcatraz quote unquote escape proof are the mechanical doors that allow more than one cell door to be opened at any one time remotely, meaning I didn't have to go up to the door to open it. So it reduces contact uh, with the officer and the inmate. It also makes it so that the inmate can't tamper with or mess with the locking mechanism of his cell, because his cell doesn't have a locking mechanism uh, that a traditional cell door would have. So I'm going to look at a couple of things. One, this first picture, I've just got a little bit. This little box, and this is going to run the length of the cell block, is where all the mechanical parts to the cell door operating system are going to be housed. This is an inside shot of the box. You can see in this little video the box at the end of the cell block. This is on the second tier of B block. So this is going right down Broadway. So what we have here is I think there's actually 4 levers in this system. This is the first lever, and it is sometimes referred to as a clutch. This is the second lever. This is the actual opening mechanism. It swings, you pull it down, and then you pull it up, and on the depending on which way, whether you go up or whether you go down, that'll open or close the cell. And this third lever here is to select either, and you can kind of see here the letter A. A stands for all. If you wanted to open all doors, you could open all doors, or you can select individual doors to open. So if you just needed to let inmate out of the 10th cell, you could let him out of the 10th cell. So all of these in every, so there's going to be one on this end. You see the third tier. There's going to be one on the outside of B block for the third tier, the second tier, the first tier. So this box controls basically 14 cells on this one stretch. So if you come down Broadway, you would eventually get to the cutoff that allows movement between Broadway and Michigan Avenue, or on the other side of B block on so where this bar is, this is C block. There's a cutoff there. So this on the second tier controls every cell from this point to the cutoff, and then at the very opposite end of the cell block, so on the other end of B block looking back down Broadway, there would be another one of these boxes with the same levers. So the third lever controls the whatever the cell number is that you're trying to open. So there's a fourth lever, and I'm not really sure. I think up here somewhere there's supposed to be a fourth lever that if we're trying to remove the covering here, any kind of maintenance covering, if there's trying to do anything like that, this fourth lever has to be open, so it prevents inmates from just being able to open them or access screw panels or things like that to tamper with the box. If there's maintenance needed to be done, you have to access it from inside the control panel first. So I'm going to show you just a demo of really short. She's going to open the doors. Essentially what you're going to do is using this lever here, you're going to select which cell you want to open. So if you wanted to open cell 10, you would move the lever to select cell 10. Using your first lever, you would, and this looks like some sort of Johnson bar, probably has like a handle underneath that you would pull and then lift up this lever fully, and that's going to enable that cell to be open. And then if you pull down on the lever, we're going to see what she does. But I believe if you pull down on the lever, nothing happens. When you pull back up on the lever to replace it in the box on the upswing, the cell doors would open. And then if you wanted to close them, which if an inmate was being released to go out to the kitchen for some sort of duty, or just one inmate was being released, we would always close their cell doors to prevent other inmates from getting in. So then we would go back to the first lever. You would enable that cell door to be closed, and so you'd pop that clutch again, and then as you come down on the downswing, the cell door would close. And if they come back after their duty, do the same process over and over. So we're going to watch her do this really quickly. So she's pulling the lever down as we move over. So on the upswing, you can see these cell doors opening, and she's going to pop the clutch again. And on the downswing, you can see the doors closing. You can see multiple doors closing there. And then she's going to pop it for good measure, set it back in its casing, and then she's done there. So one of the things I want to point out, so first, running through these, this box is a set of bars, some plugs that are sitting down in there. So when you select a cell and you pop this clutch, you're enabling that cell door to be open. So somewhere in there, the mechanics of this, you maybe somebody with an engineering background would be better to explain it. But these little plugs that sit down in for 124, for example, are being lifted so that on that next upswing, there's nothing preventing that door from opening, so that door opens. If you do all, it's going to lift all plugs, and you could open all the cell doors. Do want to notice when, and I'll show this part again. Watch her when she's got it selected to all, and look how much effort she's putting into opening all the cell doors. She's going to bend all the way down using a lot of her upper body strength alone. She needed to put more weight behind it, so she's going all the way down to the ground. So the more cell doors you open, the more force or strength you need to get them open. The last thing I'm going to show you, so what we saw again with this lever, on the downswing, you are closing the doors. On the upswing, you're opening the door. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the volume back up, and I want you to listen as it's just playing. This is full volume, so I want you to think about the sound. So when you talk about stepping into a cell and hearing the cell door closes, think about inmates living in this cell house, listening to this sound multiple times a day. And again, the more cells that are opening, the louder it's going to be. But this might really hit home that kind of trope sometimes you hear about the sound of that cell door closing behind you. So again, I'll play it one time with the sound on, but I just thought this was an interesting component to life on Alcatraz. Not every prison would have had these. Older prisons in particular, you're going cell by cell to open doors. So when this would have been installed, and just a couple of details. One, this at Alcatraz was installed by the Stewart Iron Works Company of Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know for sure whether Alcatraz was, how revolutionary this was, if they were the first to have these mechanical cell doors. I'm not saying that nobody else had done this before, but even at the time in 1934, this would have been a pretty spectacular way of opening cell doors. It made it a lot more convenient and safer for guards. So again, here's one time with the sound on.